So, good morning. Today we are going to discuss about the plastic or polymer products. As I mentioned earlier that none of the products of made of polymer contain only pure polymer. It contains various functional ingredients incorporated within the polymer. So, it is a mixture or blend of polymer and additives. So, after getting the virgin polymer as raw material for any polymer product, we have to go through some processing steps with machineries, and we have to select a suitable polymer, we have to select various ingredients, then you have to make a compound. Okay. After compound is made, then you have to give a proper shape to the product. So, if we start with say raw materials, polymer raw materials plus additives, rather you write polymeric raw material plus additives, then we go through compounding in mixer or blender. After that, you get a compound polymer compound where it is soft, flexible, or viscosity will be less while hot actually. Then this polymer compound is a mixture of virgin polymer, pure polymer and various functional ingredients or additives. Okay. Then it has to process by fabrication machineries, fabrication of product. Now, this actually may be say by extrusion, injection molding, compression molding, calendaring, etc. There are various techniques we will discuss later in detail. So, we get a finished polymer product. So, basically a product, polymer product is an impure system, you can say, a pure polymer with functional additives. Functional additives, I mean these additives have certain roles during this compounding, during this fabrication steps, okay, as well as after the product is obtained in the finished form, then during service the additives has several roles to play. Okay. So, all those additives or ingredients are incorporated in the polymer, and then finally, we use the finished product. Now, before going to produce this final or finished product through this discussing these fabrications of these products, we have to first see what are the functional additives used in polymer to make what products. Okay. Any product we desire to manufacture, you have to go for a selection, proper selection of polymer, proper selection of ingredients, proper selection of machineries, proper selection of process technologies. Okay. Then only we can get a suitable product which will be useful. So, for any useful product, so we should go for selection of polymer, selection of ingredients, selection of process steps, selection of fabrication machineries, process parameters. That means we have to know the technology, we have to develop the technology, product technology. In that, before developing that product technology, so we must keep we must consider the few parameters like say cost of the product. Cost of the product. Cost of the product should be competitive in the market. Otherwise, you can manufacture product. If it does not sell in the market, then you cannot make any profit. That product will not see the market. Okay. It will not reach the consumers. Okay. So, cost should be competitive in the market. Cost should be as low as possible, so that the manufacturer can have some profit as well as the consumers can get the product at the lowest price. Okay. So, we have to keep in mind the cost reduction parameter. Then we have to develop or produce a product which must be provide adequate properties, otherwise it will not suit our purpose. So, properties improvement including performance and service life, it should be durable, it should be good looking, it should be strong enough, it should not degrade, okay, etc. Then during manufacture of the product should be processed through easy and simple steps involving using simple machineries, involving mild conditions, otherwise that will add to the product cost. Then minimizing degradation during processing and use. Now, these words minimizing degradation means because these polymers actually passes through some machineries at elevated temperatures, because you know a virgin polymer, a pure polymer, its melting point is around, suppose if it is around 130 degree or 140 degree, then the processing temperature would be at least 170 or 180 degrees Celsius temperature. And these polymers are made of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, that means these bonds are there, covalent bonds are there, and these bonds are not stable to oxidative degradation. That means when these polymers are subjected to such processing at elevated temperature, what happens? At that elevated temperature, it will be exposed to atmospheric condition, ambient condition, means air which contains oxygen. So, there will be thermo-oxidative degradation, thermal degradation due to heat treatment, and at that elevated temperature it will be exposed to oxygen of air. So, oxidative degradation will also occur. So, we can say thermo-oxidative degradation, both thermal degradation as well as oxidative degradation. So, we have to keep in mind that there should be minimum degradation during the fabrication of the product. Okay. Now, what are those additives? Now, today let us concentrate on the plastic products. Now, products would be of plastic nature, plastic products, fiber products, rubber products, okay, surface coatings. So, products may be of different types, in each case the ingredients used for making those products are different. In case of plastic, additives would be of one type, In case of rubbers, additives would be of again different type. For fiber, additives would be of different, their numbers, their quantities, all those will vary, as well as in surface coatings, that is also a polymer product. There also the number and the quantities of the ingredients used for making those products also vary. So, it is not identical to or same for each category of products. So, for plastic product, but there are certain general your aspects, general things which must be used in any of those products. So, you will get some idea if you just go through the additives or ingredients used for making a plastic product first. Okay. Now, for making a plastic product, the main ingredient is the polymer, base polymer. So, we are going to make a product formulation, say plastic product formulation. First, we have to make a formulation, a recipe. That means, what would be the ingredients, in what amounts. Before making any product, you first go for a selection of these ingredients and their amounts. The first comes the base polymer. For that particular plastic product. Now, that may be polyethylene, that may be polypropylene, that may be polyvinyl chloride, that may be polyacrylonitrile, that may be polystyrene, that may be acrylonitrile butadiene styrene, that may be phenol and formaldehyde polymers, that may be polycarbonate. So, first of all you select a base polymer, that means you should be guided by the final product you require. What is the one? You want to make a pen, you want to make a seat, you want to make a chair, you want to make a pipe, you want to make your overhead container, or you want to make a electrical switch, electrical socket, switch board, or coating of conducting wires, insulation of conducting wires, etc., or tire. Whatever product you make, first of all you have to go for selection of a polymer depending on the final product you are going to make. So, after so if you consider this base polymer, say as I told, polyethylene, polypropylene, polyvinyl chloride, etc. So, you take parts by weight, parts by weight or PHR. In case of rubber product, we write parts per 100 parts of rubber, PHR. We write, we say that is the convention, PHR. Here we can write PBW, parts by weight. So, if you take the base polymer 100 parts, then correspondingly what will be the amounts of the ingredients taken. So, this is the base polymer, this is the main phase, polymer phase, main polymer phase, 100 part. Okay. That means, you may take 100 gram, you may take 100 kg, you may take 100 ton, like that. In one batch of product formulation, you start with on the basis of 100 kg or 100 ton of polymer. It is better to write as 100 kilogram. Okay. Then corresponding to that base polymer, what is the amount of filler? That again depends on the type of products we are going to make. Here in this screen, you see there is a range of amount shown 30 to 100. Even less, even less. Say for overhead tank made of high density polyethylene. What is the amount of filler taken? Neither 30 nor 50 nor 100 kg per 100 kg of polymer. It is much less than that, because we have to see what is the accommodative capacity of the polymer. You understand? So, before that, let me tell you one thing. What are the necessity of using those ingredients? You are not asking me this basic question. Is there any necessity? We can take simply HDP, we can take any other polymer, we can make a product. Yes, we can make a product. In order to get a broad spectrum of properties, we incorporate ingredients. There is a need to incorporate ingredients in order to develop wide range of properties. Now, if you make a container or a pipe only from a virgin or pure polymer, you can make a product, you will get a product, it will serve your purpose to some extent, not the not to the whole extent, fullest extent. Okay. Say if you take high density polyethylene, say it is almost colorless. In thick it looks translucent, in thick sheet. In thin film it is almost not highly transparent, but it is transparent, colorless. So, you can get a plastic HDPE pipe or HDPE container overhead tank, but the life of the tank will be limited period. The mechanical properties, say load bearing properties or the dimensional stability of that HDPE tank or pipe will be low, its durability will be less, it will be less stable. If it is exposed to outdoor condition, UV light, sunlight, so it will degrade. So, the life of the product will be less, the mechanical stability, mechanical properties, dimensional stability will be low. Again, not only that, the aesthetic appeal, good look, that means if it is not colored, customer will not take it. If it does not look nice, very nice, glossy, people will not, a customer will not buy. So, it should be colorful, it should be stable, it should be durable, it should be strong, it should be dimensionally stable. Some person can stand on the tank, it should not collapse. So, that means it should be stiff and strong. Okay. When it is full with water, it should not collapse. So, in order to develop all those properties, not only that, if you take a pipe, in case of pipe, what happens? Underground pipes, it may collapse, it may be deformed. So, in order to develop all sorts of properties, then we need to incorporate such ingredients. So, fillers, it has certain purpose to use in a plastic product. Fillers, what is filler? Fillers means it fills. Simple meaning is fills, filling effect. Say if you take 100 kg polymer and if you add 20 kg filler, so total product mass will be 120 kg, and the cost of filler, if it is 5 rupees a kilogram and the cost of polymer if it is 80 rupees a kilogram. So, you are getting 120 kg that filled plastic at low cost, but if you want to make a product out of pure polymer, so 120 kg polymer will be costing more. So, here lies the necessity of using filler, which reduces the cost of the product. Then another question automatically comes. So, in order to reduce the cost, we are incorporating filler. What about the performance of the product, properties of the product? will it be reduced or will it be increased or what? No, there are different kinds of fillers. One category of fillers that improves the properties, another category of fillers that cannot increase the strength and other properties, but it only reduces the cost because of the low cost of the filler. That means, one kind of filler can reinforce the properties, another kind of filler remains simply inert, remain present as inert material in the base polymer only to increase the volume of the product, thereby reducing the cost. So, this is the situation. So, here is the purpose of using filler. Okay. Then we can decide or judge what kind of filler we should go for selection, what amount of filler we should use. So, we have to come to a compromise with cost and performance. Cost and performance. Although this is true for all other ingredients, but this is a major criteria for fillers, because amounts of fillers are much higher than other ingredients. Next come plasticizers. You see, again here is the range is 30 to 100. That means, if you take 100 kg polymer, you can use 100 kg plasticizer, you can use 100 kg filler also, 50-50. Then you have to compromise the performance. What is the function of plasticizer? Plasticizer means it is coming from plasticity, plastic property, from plastic flow. It is a flow characteristics. It is related to flow characteristics, flowing of a fluid. You know, these polymers in the virgin form, the raw form, they are having high viscosity at ambient temperature. At elevated temperature, viscosity is low. Okay. But when these products are made through compounding, processing, fabrication, all these things, it needs to be heated in order to make it soft, so that it can flow, so that it can fill the mold by flowing. Say, if you take a solid polymer, so suppose this is a raw polymeric thing, this one raw polymeric thing. If you want to make a sheet from it, can you make simply? No, because it is hard. You can make a sheet from it, provided you heat it. On heating, it will be softened, then you apply some compressive load on it, so it will be compressed to a thin sheet. Okay. So, that will, this polymer will fill the mold by flowing through application of heat and pressure. Do you understand? Now, that application of heat and pressure, that involves energy consumption, that will add to the cost of your product. So, during product processing and fabrication, if you have to arrange a high temperature arrangement, high pressure arrangement, both these high temperature arrangement and high pressure arrangement incur huge cost, that will increase the cost of the product. So, it is better if the flexibility, if the flow characteristics, if the processing can be carried out at lower temperature and lower pressure, that means at mild conditions. You understand? Now, in order to do that, if the, because you cannot do it if the melting point is high, say 130 degree, you have to heat it up to 130 degree, beyond it even for getting proper flow characteristics. If its melting temperature, softening temperature is 130 degree, you have to go beyond 150, otherwise you cannot make a sheet or film or any other product, you cannot make. But you can reduce the temperature provided you use ingredients like plasticizer, this plasticizer. If you use this plasticizer, then you can reduce the softening temperature. You can reduce the softening temperature, you can increase the flow characteristics. That means, the rheological characteristics of this polymer will be improved by using plasticizer. Let me give you an example. PVC, polyvinyl chloride, is a tough and horny polymer, rigid PVC. You have seen rigid PVC products, say medicine strips you have seen, okay, or PVC doors you have seen, rigid PVC is dimensionally stable also, PVC doors, PVC articles. Okay. Now, if you add some plasticizer to this rigid PVC, it will become flexible, which is known as artificial leather like Rexin, tabletop, table cover, Rexin film, plastic film, PVC sheet, or curtains, or upholstery covers. These are nothing but plasticized PVC. So, when they are around 30 to 35 or 37% of plasticizer is blended with this PVC, then only we can get this flexible PVC film or sheet. Do you understand how it has been done? Because these plasticizers are low molecular weight organic ester compounds that is miscible with this polymer. That means, it behaves like a solvent. These plasticizers behaves like a solvent in the polymer matrix, and we get a soft flexible polymer. So, here is a role of plasticizer. Not only that, it reduces the flow temperature, increases the flow characteristics at lower temperature. Then comes the stabilizer. Stabilizer meaning is very simple. Stabilizer, it stabilizes the product. That means, it prevents degradation from various degrading agencies. What are those degrading agencies? Air is one degrading agency which contains oxygen, ozone, sunlight, UV is there, some radiation, other high energy radiation, gamma rays, gamma radiation, X radiation. These are also harmful because these are of high energy. So, that degrades the polymer, that breaks the chemical bonds, and simply high temperature also, thermal. Even if the atmosphere is inert, there is no oxygen or inert gas is there, but even high temperature can break the bonds. That means, it is the energy. So, source of energy, stimulants stimuli may be different, but that can degrade the polymer, that can degrade the polymer product. Okay. If you just keep one of your garment exposed to sunlight for a prolonged period, you will find its color will go, it will be torn, it will break, it will cut, it will be torn. So, tear properties, strength properties, all these properties will be decreased, that is due to degradation of the polymer which is with which this product is made. Even cotton, that is a polymer, if you keep it exposed to sunlight and air and humid condition, that will be degraded. So, there is a degradation due to several influence of several degrading agencies. Again, microbial degradation is another source. Microbes can attack, microbes can sit on it, can colonize on it, can grow on it, and microbes will eat the polymer. So, in order to prevent from those degradation, stabilizers are used. Stabilizers are of different kind available. I will discuss details. Then coloring matters in order to give good look to the polymer product. Here you see nice looking. Again, this is a nice looking. Now, these colors are developed in these products. So, these are coloring matters. These coloring matters may be organic, inorganic, anything. Again, lubricant. Now, you see these paints are made through injection molding process. In one shot of injection, you know what is injection, you know, hypodermic syringe principle is same. In one shot 5 ml, 2 ml, 0.5 ml of liquid is injected within the muscle. So, injection molding function by the same principle, but in one shot of movement of the plunger from one side to the other side, nozzle side, it is, if it is connected to several molds, so several items can be formed in one shot, say maybe 50, 60 if not more in one shot. That means, you think of the productivity. So, huge numbers of paints or items are made by this injection molding process continuously through automatic process. Okay. So, after injecting the molten polymer into the mold, then there is a cycle of heating and cooling. Mold is to be cooled because the molten polymer should be hardened by cooling. After it is cooled, then mold should be opened, then product should be ejected out, and all these steps are fully automatic today. These machines are, technologies are available, machines are available. Now, for ejection of the product from the mold, again there is certain problem, because it may stick to the metal surface. This polymer, molten polymer can remain stick to the mold surface. So, it should not remain sticking to the mold surface, it should be ejected. For that, some mold lubricant should be used. Not only that, during making the plastic or polymer compound, during fabrication, all these things, or passing through machineries, it should not stick to the machine surface. So, for that it needs some lubricants. Those lubricants are there. Those lubricants will come, a very thin film of the lubricant will diffuse or ooze out or exude to the interface between the polymer and the mold surface, and that will help to ejecting out from the mold. Flow promoters, in order to control the flow characteristics, so that the surface finish is very good, so that some flow promoters are used. Then the product, final product may remain in thermoplastic stage or in thermoset stage. If it is to be produced in thermoset condition, as thermoset type of product, then you have to use some cross linking agent, and there are various other miscellaneous ingredients of, like say antistatic agents, flame retarding agents, fire retarding agents. So, other ingredients are used. So, here you see the stabilizer is used in very small quantity, from here it is shown 0.02 to 10 parts. Sometimes 1 part is sufficient, sometimes 2 parts is sufficient, sometimes less than 1 part is sufficient. Lubricants 1 to 2 parts, flow promoters 2 to 15 parts, cross linking agents 1 to 5 parts, and other miscellaneous ingredients maybe 1 to 5 parts. Okay. So, this is known as a formulation, product formulation recipe. So, if you are asked to write a formulation or a recipe, you have to write the name of the base polymer and its amount, then name of the ingredients which must be used for that particular product along with their quantities in parts by weight. Understand? So, formulation means, I repeat, formulation means the ingredients and their amounts before making the product. Say, think of a cooking recipe, it is also it has also a recipe, any menu, some vegetable, that is the main item, vegetable or chicken or mutton, then what you add? Some masala, again that masala may be discrete one or it may be again a mixed masala, then some spice, your oil, some sugar, some salt. So, these are ingredients, and now if you do not if you are not careful about the quantities, suppose 1 kg mutton you add 1 kg 50% salt, would you be able to eat it? No. Likewise, here also if you take 1 kg polymer, base polymer, if you add 1 kg cross linking agent or 1 kg coloring agent, that product will not be useful. So, if a cooking recipe should be eatable, it must be, there must be a proportion, optimized recipe. So, here you have to make a optimized formulation, so that will give you the best performance, that will give you the cheapest cost, and that should provide the product fabrication in a very simple manner, simple fashion. Now, let us look into fillers. Now, fillers are usually solid materials, and these fillers may be inert fillers or reinforcing fillers. Could you name one reinforcing filler? Carbon black. Yes, carbon black is a reinforcing filler for tire. Silica fillers are also reinforcing filler for rubber. Reinforcing means it must interact with polymer. You think of, you just imagine a polymer network or a thermoplastic 3-dimensional polymer block, okay, and within the polymer block there are ample free volume available. Within those free volumes, free spaces, if you can incorporate particulate fillers, today nano fillers are there. In our class there is one nano person who is working with nano materials, he likes nano very much, okay. Nano dimension filler, nano dimensional material, when these materials are incorporated in a base polymer, then we get a nano composite. So, composite may be macroscopic, microscopic and nano, macroscopic, microscopic and nano, provided we incorporate fillers or reinforcing agents, inert fillers or reinforcing fillers within the polymer matrix. Matrix means continuous phase, okay. Then we can get some improved mechanical properties, or we can get some improved properties also, other properties improvement also. Now, let me tell you what about this, what is the meaning of this free volume. I was telling you, in case of high density polyethylene, you cannot incorporate say 30-40 parts of filler, it cannot accommodate, because these polyethylenes are crystalline in nature. The free space, availability of free space in polyethylene is less, because the morphology of the polymer is compact. Polymer chains, this polyethylene chains lie side by side in a compact fashion. So, free availability of free space in polyethylene is less, whereas if you take natural rubber, if you look into the configuration of natural rubber molecules and compare with that of polyethylene molecule, you will find in natural rubber molecule there is this kind of chain folding, whereas in case of polyethylene the extent of chain folding is quite less, So, here if you add say 100 part of filler to 100 part of polymer, you can incorporate, and you will be surprised to know that in some rubber products to 100 part of rubber more than 1000 parts of fillers are incorporated. Say floor mats, floor rubber mats, these are made by simple incorporation of river bed silt, clay filler, their clay is used as filler. So, with 1 kg of polymer, 1 kg of natural rubber, one can incorporate say 900 gram to 1 kg of clay. You understand how much amount of this sorry 9 to 1 kg of polymer, 1 kg of rubber, you can incorporate 1 kg of filler here. Otherwise, you can incorporate to 1 kg, you can incorporate 400 gram, you can incorporate 500 gram, you can incorporate 600 gram, like that. Now, that is accommodated in natural rubber, but that large amount of filler is not accommodated in such rigid polymers. So, you have to see whether the polymer is rigid or flexible. If the polymer is flexible, then yes, you can incorporate higher quantity of filler there, you understand. So, this accommodative capacity of the polymer has to be looked into, has to be kept in under consideration. If it can accommodate, yes, you can use more amount of filler and the product will be stiff, stiffer, you understand. So, inert fillers which does not interact with the polymer chain, simply it remains present within the polymer matrix and it reduces the cost by increasing the volume, it is known as inert filler. It will decrease the mechanical properties, it will decrease the tensile strength, it will decrease the modulus, increase the modulus of course, because the modulus is a low extension property. It will increase the modulus, but it will decrease the tensile strength, decrease the elongation at break, decrease the dynamic properties, it will increase the hardness. This is the effect of filler. You can just correlate. If you take an inert filler, incorporated inert filler in a polymer, what happens? It will increase the stiffness, means modulus, it increases the modulus, because this modulus is a low extension property, that means low elongation property, modulus, whereas tensile strength, it is a breaking property. You are pulling tensile, applying tensile strength, then it may break somewhere if the strength of this product goes beyond the load applied. And then compressive strength, again load under compression, okay, there also deformation occurs. So, the compressive strength will be high because the stiffness is high if you use inert polymer, inert filler. So, that will increase the stiffness and modulus, but that will decrease the tensile strength, that will decrease the elongation at break. Am I clear? But reinforcing filler on the contrary, what happens? It interacts with the polymer. That means it may either form a physical or chemical bond with the polymer. Say you think of carbon black as filler in natural rubber. What happens there? Now, by virtue of the structure and morphology of carbon black, these rubber molecules, the segments of folded segments of rubber molecules and the ends of the rubber molecular chains penetrates or go inside that carbon black particle, because it is a floppy porous particle, it goes inside. So, there it anchors by through physical anchoring, or it can chemically interact also. There are certain functional groups available, and those functional groups interact with the polymer chain, rubber chain, and it becomes permanent. So, there is permanent or physical or transient anchorage with the filler. So, that increase the strength properties of filled polymer. In case of rubber tire, 45 parts of carbon black is used. That 45 parts of carbon black increases the tensile strength of a virgin rubber from say 16 megapascal to 24 megapascal. Do you understand how much increase is there? Say if the tensile strength of gum rubber compound is 16 megapascal, the tensile strength of the same rubber compound will be increased if you can incorporate 45 parts of carbon black in that rubber. So, there is improvement in tensile strength, along with its hardness also increases, as well as its tensile strength its elongation at break also decrease by incorporation of this filler. Now, this kind of filler in rubber is known as reinforcing filler. So, if there is some reinforcement of the strength properties of the polymer, base polymer, then we can call it a reinforcement. Think of a composite. Now, in composite, what we do? We take some fibers or particles. We take the fibers, say it may be long fiber or chopped fiber, or it may be in particulate nature. So, after incorporation we can make a product. Then these fibers will have some interface between the polymer with the polymer. So, there will be some interaction between the polymer and the fiber surface at the interface, and that enhances the properties. So, it reinforces, that means fiber reinforces the matrix. So, the strength properties of the composite will be higher than those of the polymer as well as that of fiber. So, if you look in this way, suppose this is the polymer axis, this is the fiber axis, and these are properties. Suppose this is the polymer properties lies over here and fiber properties lies over here, little higher than that of polymer tensile strength. Now, by incorporating say 30% of fiber, you can get an improvement of properties like this. So, suppose this is the product, say here fiber is 30 and polymer is 70. So, in a 30 parts filled or reinforced fiber reinforced composite, you will have properties enhancement like this. So, this is the your property means tensile strength of the pure polymer. If this is the tensile strength of the pure fiber, then the strength of the composite will be more than the individual strengths of polymer as well as fiber. So, here is the advantage of using these fillers or reinforcements. Do you understand? It is called reinforcement, because there is some interaction between the filler and the polymer. If there is some interaction or anchorage between the filler and the polymer, then only we can say some reinforcement is there. And entire composite technology, composite products are based on this principle. High performance composite, low profile composites, all these are based on this principle. Fillers may be of particulate, rubbery, resinous or fibrous in nature. Then we will say it is a particle filled composite, it is a filler reinforced rubber, it is a polymer reinforced composite, resinous fiber filler or fiber reinforced composite. Now, look, huge number of examples can be cited for different types of fillers for polymers. This is wood based, you see, wood based fillers, look, kraft paper, chips, coarse floor, ground floor, wood floor, chalk paper, crepe paper, pulp preform. This is alpha cellulose actually, alpha cellulose, alpha is not there, alpha cellulose, pulp preform, you know, paper pulp, wood pulp, how pulping is done, probably you know. Do you know what is pulping, how pulping is done, how these newsprints are made, how the paper is made? You know, the process is very simple. You take some wood based material, either bamboo or softwood, that contains cellulose and lignin. Okay. There are pulping technologies, say xanthation technologies or cuproammonium technologies, these are available. So, when these chemicals are mixed with this wood, it becomes soft and viscous, and the lignin goes out, soluble things goes out, and you get a pulp. That pulp is further used for making fiber, for making paper sheets, for making many other products. Say cellophane, it comes through pulping. Joris comes through pulping. These are all wood based materials, wood based products, wood cellulose. Okay. So, these textiles, textile byproducts, then jute, natural fiber, sisal, another natural fiber, rayon, it is a semi synthetic fiber, viscose rayon, ground bark of trees, plants, processed lignin, lignin is the wood waste, paper industries waste. Okay. That lignin is a storehouse of chemicals. Those lignin can be used for making, again as it can be used as a raw material for polymer products. So, there is huge number of wood based fillers available. Then there are again examples of synthetic fibers, say polyamide, nylon fibers, aliphatic polyamide, nylon, aromatic nylon, say Kevlar, then polyester fibers, polyacrylonitrile fibers, or many other polymers can be drawn into fibers, only few are mentioned over here. Then carbon based fillers, carbon, you see carbon black, they are available in various grades. Say there are 3 major grades, channel black, furnace black and thermal black. Here only 2 are mentioned, channel black, furnace black and thermal black is not mentioned here. Channel black is used for making printing ink, channel black. This particle size is very low, less than 10 nanometer particle size, channel black, channel carbon black. That means it is made by a channel process through combustion of natural gas or petroleum oil. Furnace black is made from again natural gas or petroleum oil by furnace process and thermal process. You see lamp black, you know, you have seen lamp black. If you their soot formation is there, that soot is nothing but unburnt carbon, that is also a carbon black. Then graphite, if you heat this black carbon black in inert atmosphere, it will transform into graphite structure. And graphite fiber, these are also available, made, you know, carbon fiber. If you want, if you are interested, if you come to my room, I will show you how carbon fiber it looks. I will show you some polymer samples also there, different types of polymer samples, different types of fibers, including glass fiber, carbon fiber, aramid fiber. I have lot of specimens in my room. You come to my room and I will show you. Graphite fiber, carbon fiber made from polyacrylonitrile precursor, I mentioned earlier. Okay. Then graphite filaments, graphite whiskers. Whiskers are single crystalline materials, short fibers, whiskers, single crystalline fibers having high aspect ratio. Aspect ratio, you know what is aspect ratio? That means if the diameter is very low, very less, length is quite high, that means it is thin fiber, very thin fiber, and its surface area is very high. So, it will be highly reinforcing. So, if the aspect ratio is very high, it will give excellent reinforcing properties. Thank you.